to the interview room. Muzzy checking in, the time's here. How you all doing? All right, let's begin. Let's have a chat about the fact that I want to interview the best fighters in the world, and that's that. Had a lot of guests from everywhere.
How are we, guys? Muzzy here, coming to you again on a nice rainy evening in Marvel Lock somewhere in WA. My next guest, who used to train and fight out of the corporate box gym in Queensland. And he also runs a new and innovative way to get people involved and excited about Muay Thai called Tag Team Championship, where he looks to match some of the best fighters Australia has to offer against each other and against other people from the world. I'm joined by Adam King. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, good, man. Yourself?
I'm all right, mate. How's it going up in the sunny state?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just still got my slippers on. They're almost time to come off for the thongs.
Yeah. Or the jandals, as the Kiwis call them.
Yeah, no, I'm a thongs man, or a pluggers.
Pluggers, yeah. And then if your thongs do snap, you know the trick. You get the little tag that you use to wind your bread in and just stick it in, mate. Works a treat. Oh, mate. Now is there like 3 corporate box gyms in Queensland?
I think there's 4 now. So there's the original corporate box Lutwich.
Yep.
Then Curtis franchised corporate box Ipswich as the next one. Then Glenn Hodgins opened in the Valley, Fortitude Valley. Then Curtis and Ben Kelleher just opened one in East Brisbane. And there's also a corporate box round in Stafford, which is a sort of more of a F45, 12 rounds style of thing, just get in, fitness sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I spoke to my brother today, and he said that's actually doing really well, so it's good.
Oh, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome. So how did you find Muay Thai? And can you tell me a bit about your journey and your fight career?
Yeah, so obviously my brother, Shannon, he actually started before me. I was actually in the Navy, so it's sort of a little bit hard to be training as we're always away and stuff like that. But we just got back from the Persian Gulf, and my mates go, "Oh, let's go train Thai boxing." I went, "All right." We went for a class, and then the second class, the fight trainer came in and did some pads with us and stuff. And then he asked me to join the fight class, and then joined that. And then 2 months later, I was having my first fight. That's basically. Then I just kept going from there.
That's impressive. So how many fights did you end up having altogether?
I think it was just under 50. I think about 46, 47 in about 5 years. So just pumped them out. Do you want to fight? Yep, cool, let's go.
Do you find taking fights on shorter notice is, I'm not going to say better, but like you don't have as much time to think about it, whereas if you've got you're fighting someone in like 2 or 3 months, you're constantly thinking about it?
Yeah, I think it depends. I found that the fitter I wasn't as strong. I was too worried about getting the combos and stuff like that. So when I was a little bit less fitter, I'd have a little bit more power, and then the more fights I'd have, I could sort of learn to relax a little bit more.
Yeah.
So like my last fight with Chris Petrie, I actually only trained twice, but I was just so relaxed. And then so I still had the power because I wasn't wasting energy with all the combos and trying to points win, so to speak.
Yeah.
I could relax and then hit the power when I sort of needed to.
You know, a couple of other people have said that to me as well, like especially like training in Thailand. Like, yeah, it's good training twice a day, 6 days a week. But the exact same thing you said about power-wise, like because they're constantly training 4 to 5, 6 hours a day, they don't get the necessary rest and recuperation that they need. So even though, they are fit and they can go 5 rounds, they still lack that. If they just brought it back a little bit or had a couple of days off, they would get that power.
Yeah, I think it also depends on people as well. Like when I trained in Thailand, I came back and fought Pat Williams from Burnshoe, and I was super fit, but I had my power. But then when I fought Flip Street, it's probably the fittest I've ever been, and I had 0 power.
Yeah,
and he just bashed me.
You got to sort of find that fine line, don't you?
Yeah, you got to work out what works for you.
Yeah. And through your own eyes, how have you seen the Australian Muay Thai scene change from when you were fighting to what it is today?
I think back in the day, well, not really back in the day, it's only 5 years ago. But you had these promotions and gyms and all that. They were all aligned with each other, so to speak.
Yeah.
So everyone, like obviously, Nugget had Evolution, and then like all these gyms where you put your fighters on that show. You know that every time you went to a show, you're going to get those fighters. So generally, you could get the bigger names, and they stayed around for longer.
Yeah.
These days, there's a lot of promotions, so there's no there's not a lot of money in it for people to stay around. So you don't see the longevity of people like Preacher having your 160 odd fights. You know, they're having like 10 or 20 fights and realizing, oh, I've got bills to pay. This fighting, it's not actually paying my bills, so they're sort of in and out a lot quicker.
Yeah. And I think, like, you brought up Preacher, that's a good point. Like, everyone, like John Wayne Parr, he is the pin-up boy for Muay Thai in Australia.
Yeah.
But I think people forget about Preacher, and I think Preacher's actually had more fights than J-Dub.
Yeah. Preacher's at about, I think he's at 165-ish now.
Mm.
So he's had a fair few. I think Wayne, he's 110-ish, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more, I'm not sure, not too sure.
But Preacher's moved to WA now. He's in Kalamunda kickboxing, I think.
Not anymore. He's actually just gone into youth working, actually.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, looking after some kids there and really enjoying it. So, yeah.
Is that still in Perth, or is he back in...
Yeah, still in Perth. So, yeah, he's enjoying it.
Oh, nice. And another thing I wanted to have a chat about is with the corporate box, was it you or your brother, or correct me if I'm wrong, was responsible for bringing Apicit and Apirac to Australia?
Yeah, so that would have been, so that was my brother. So we had, back then we had a couple of tyres that were here, and then their visa had run out. So we obviously my brother needed to get more tyres in. And that's when he reached out, and Corporate Box was getting bigger at that time, so we needed more than just one or two Thais to come and teach that authentic Thai boxing. So my brother reached out to Abigail at Sitmon Chai. That's when we got Yodson Chai and Aparak.
Yep.
They came over, and then that's when Ipswich expanded as well. So my brother's like, all right, who else can we get? Aparak goes, my brother Apicit wants to come over. So did a bit of negotiating because Apicit was with Cam at Cam Muay Thai.
Yep.
Had to do some negotiating with them because Apicit was getting quite big with Channel 7. And it actually ruffled a few feathers at Channel 7 because he was just knocking everyone out.
Yeah.
But they were taking nearly all of his fight purse. I think he was about 20-30%. So he's like, yep, I'm out. Came over here and, yeah, fought everyone.
Mate, he was the golden child at one stage, wasn't he? Didn't he even fight on that what was it, Tough Man or Strong Man or something like that?
He fought on that Aussie Tough Man in the under 80s.
Yeah.
He was he was probably 65 kilos, ring and wet, and everyone else was 80.
Yeah.
Knocked out the dude the first round. I can't remember who that was. Like, head kick, boom, out. Then he fought Jaden, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, but Anud. Can't pronounce his proper name, sorry about that. But he's at Strikeforce now. He's a really good kid, but big boy, beat him.
Yeah.
Then he fought Luciari to go into the final. Hands down, in my opinion, he won that. And if you go back through my Facebook post, I was pretty vocal about that. Just didn't care, just fought.
Yeah, man. A story about Apicit that comes to my mind is I interviewed Jordan Godfredson, and he told me about the time that Jack 300 fought him.
Yeah.
And the way that Jordan described it, man, it sounded something like out of a horror film. So basically, like, Jack was fighting him first, and then he just got cut up and bashed and belted and bruised. And he said he went over to Jack's house the next day or a couple of days later, and he's just sitting there in the dark with a hoodie on, and he looked at him and his lip was split and his eye was busted and he was just fucked. And then, like, people were like worried, and we know the rest of the story. He ended up winning. But yeah, that episode, it was something quite special. I enjoyed watching him. He's back in Thailand now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's back in Thailand. Yeah, his visa ran out here, so he went back, unfortunately. But he was after I think when he fought Jordan. I wasn't there for that fight, but I heard it was an absolute war. I think that was his 8th fight in like a 6-week period, because he had the tough man and that.
Yeah.
But after that fight, he didn't really have too many Thai boxing fights. Just hard to get him fights, Like he beat Michael Thompson quite easy, beat Chad Collins twice, fought on that 8-man size Rebellion 8-man.
That's right.
And then after that, it was just boxing, because obviously you get a lot of money in boxing, short notice, stuff like that. So,
any plans for him to come back out to Australia, or not at this stage?
Just with the visas, I don't think they can.
Okay.
He did. I can't remember the actual visa that it is, so I'm probably wrong in saying this, but had a 2-year visa, got renewed for another 2-year visa, and I think that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, it's quite hard now.
Yeah, okay.
Might be able to come back on a different one for, like, a sports visa for fights and all that, but couldn't really, I don't know.
No, that's all good. And, like, I know that you're retired, but for one of your shows, you came out of retirement and you stepped in on 24 hours notice. Can you give us a rundown of that?
Yeah, so that was basically my first show. So there was me, Preacher, and our mate Fit As. We thought, all right, let's do a show. So we did a show at the Irish Club. The main event, which was Fit As, he actually come down with vertigo, and we thought he could pull through it. But then on weigh-in day, he just, every time he stood up, he was just like real unbalanced and stuff like that. So I was like, well, you've sold a lot of tables. I know most of your friends, so I'll do it. Otherwise we're gonna get someone else to do it. Then those people probably want their money back for their tables, and it was going to go to shit. So I'm like, yep, all right, I'll do it. Haven't trained in a year, literally no training in a year. And then at 74 kilos, I used to fight at 63.
Yeah.
And then just went in there and had a good time. Got the win.
One for the memory books, eh?
Yeah. there's plenty of them.
And speaking of your show, you promote Tag Team Championship, where it looks like there's no expenses being spared in the production of it. It's a cool little concept where you put 2 versus 2 people in the ring, and they can tag and swap out at any time during the rounds. Would you be able to explain exactly the rule set and how you came up with the concept?
Yep. So I actually didn't come up with the concept as such. I was probably about 6 years ago. I was at a show, and it was an amateur show, and they had the tag teams on, and it was crazy. Obviously the crowd were going nuts for the fights before, but then this came on, and it was just phenomenal. And I'm like, man, I've got to do something with this. It took me probably 2 years of I was watching it, and I'm like, it could be done better.
Yeah.
So it literally took me 2 years of, should I do it? How do I do it? Redefining what I should do with the rules and stuff like that. So that particular night I watched, it was so I fight a 3-minute round, but every time the fighter's tagged, they stop the clock. One round went for 8 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
So I was just like, nah, that can't do that. That's just too long, inconsistent, things like that, especially for the crowd, you know. So I put my thinking cap on for a couple of years, and basically the rules is it's just normal Thai boxing rules, full Thai rules. There's a couple of like minor details, but the main thing is the ref puts them in the ring and then swaps them around. So as in, if you're in the red corner, you start in the blue corner, and you got to fight. Yeah, so you got to fight your way against that opponent, so it makes people engage in the fight. If you want to tag out, you got to have one hand on the corner post for the person on the outside, and then the person on the inside has to initiate the tag. I've got a guy in the neutral corner with a whistle, and he blows the whistle, which then acknowledges the ref and says breaks. Lets them swap over, then swaps them back over to the opposite corners as well. A little bit hard to sort of visualize how it is. It's probably easier to sort of watch it or read the rules to sort of on our Facebook page to gauge that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I've got some other sort of rules in regarding to if you get knocked out, if one team member gets knocked out, the other guy can continue if they want. That's up to them. We had one fight where it was Jake Molden and Jonathan Ayulu versus Jay Tonkin and Nathan Robson.
Yeah.
Jake actually got his jaw broken. And then so Jonathan could have come back in, but his trainer, the Thai trainers go, no, because Jonathan, I think, was his 10th fighting against Nathan Robson, Jay Tonkin, who had had a combined total of over 50 fights.
Yeah.
And Jonathan had already been dropped, and I think he had 2 or 3 cuts as well.
Yeah.
So in his safety, they just went, nah, you're not going back out. Yeah. But the option was there.
Yeah, well, that'd make interesting, especially like if you got one person and you get against 2 people, and it could go pear shaped very quickly.
It could go pear shaped, or you could be a bloody legend.
Yeah, it could go either way. There's sort of no middle ground, is there?
No. So yeah, there's a few other things as well. So if someone gets cut, you basically cannot get stopped from a cut.
Yeah.
So if let's just say I'm fighting, I get cut that bad, the ref wants the doctor to check it out. The doctor goes, no, you can't fight. He then goes on the outside, we do an automatic tag. Yeah. His partner comes back in, but he cannot come back in until the doctor goes, yep, you've got that bleeding under control.
Yeah, okay.
So the still option is there for him to come back in, but if it's just makes the corner sort of get on top of it as well.
Yeah, man. And like the crowd, like from watching your events, the crowd seem to really like what you're doing. And you're also seeing people come to your shows that you wouldn't normally see at a typical or local Muay Thai show that maybe doesn't create the same sort of like atmosphere that you create at your events. Yeah,
so I've always, even before I did the tag team, I've always wanted a show with a good atmosphere, you know. There's no point having, you know, the best fighters fighting if everyone's just sitting here like stunned mullets, you know. You need people to feel welcome. You need I think that comes with a lot of things, you know, like just like putting tablecloths on the VIP tables, putting table chair covers on the chairs, just little things to then people go, this is actually a nice event, not just in your bloody YMCA, your basketball courts, whatever, you know. Like, I think it stems from that. And I've also not tolerated like rubble, you know what I mean? Like if people come in and like yell and abuse, like not abuse, but like if they're just getting a bit rowdy, it's, mate, come on, there's people here that want to enjoy the night, settle down.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff, you know. So you don't want females being there being intimidated and stuff like that, you know. So it's sort of for everyone.
And with your events, are they under any sort of sanctions, like with the belts and all that?
No, so the belts I just do through Tag Team Championship. There's sort of its own sanction, so to speak.
Yeah.
I want to create my own mini UFC, where like I can do rankings and stuff like that. But it's actually quite hard. Like the UFC, it's just a different name for Thai boxing, for MMA. So he can get a lot more people in and rank them and stuff like that. But with the tag team, it's at an early stage, it's quite hard to do, especially you got two people. Like we've seen several times where, who was it? So Jay Tonkin and Nathan Robson were the champions, but then Nathan got injured, so then he needed a substitute partner to come in to defend the belt with him. But then how do you rank that, So it's a lot of teething issues trying to get that structure and stuff like that. But that is my ultimate goal, like I do have plans for these, like big plans, it's not just a gimmick. But, you see a few different things come in and they've sort of disappeared, or haven't done anything for a long time, they're like not trying to take the piss and make this a gimmick. Actually, like the Big Bash, Big Bash in cricket, they revitalised cricket, they're getting family there, they're getting a lot of females there, which is females generally hate cricket.
Yeah.
It's in and out sort of stuff, they got fireworks, they got all that sort of stuff. So I'm trying to create something for everyone that can enjoy. You can have your traditional Thai boxing fans, your people who just love punch-ons, your girls who just want to go for a girls' night out and have a bit of entertaining, that's why I've got the dances and stuff like that. Last show I had streamers, all that sort of stuff come out of cannons and things like that, so...
I saw that when Preacher thingy won.
Yeah, I actually watched Jonathan. He actually didn't know I was doing it. And he's like, whoa, what's going on here? Pretty funny.
We're starting to see... Hang on. Can you hear that reverb, or is that just me?
Oh, slightly, just not much though.
Okay. Like we're starting to see Muay Thai evolve to try to appeal to wider audiences, such as like your tag team championship concepts, Muay Thai in a cage with John Wayne Parr, and even you've got like MX even just in the ring but with 4-ounce gloves, but still trying to keep the traditional aspects. Where do you see it, or where would you like to see it heading in the future?
Yeah, that's a tough question, to be honest. I just want it, like, as long as it's evolving, like as people say, if you're not moving, you're dead,
Yeah.
We've got to keep evolving, not necessarily don't have to change it, as in you don't have to do something like the Tag Team Championships or the CMT, or you can be just your normal show, but just don't just try and make money, like put on a production. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Like with Evolution, like that wasn't just the fight show. Even from the early days, it was a production. They worried about the napkins, the lighting, things like that, and that's where a lot of these other shows need to realise, we're not going to evolve as a sport if you're just happy to do your run-of-the-mill in your garden shed.
Yeah.
Like how can you expect people to throw money at your show and to pay the fighters to get the names and build them unless you're willing to spend money yourself? So there's no money in sponsorship because people are doing those little shows in little sheds and that they're not willing to put their own money in to grow it. We can grow it. Sponsors, like you attract sponsors. Like look at ONE FC.
Yeah,
like they're getting massive now. Obviously they build it through a global audience, like over in Malaysia where they first started with the ONE FC MMA. And they're evolving. They've evolved to the MMA to put that onto the big stage,
And they're also implementing like new strategies and measures, like hydration testing, that sort of thing, to ensure. Because I mean, like, I can see if you're a professional fighter and if fighting is your main source of income, then you want to try and have the best possible advantage. But for people just amateurs or just starting out, and they're trying to focus too much on weight cutting rather than perfecting their art, and it's ruining them.
Yeah, with weight cutting, since I've retired, I've sort of changed my opinion on weight cutting. Like it needs to stem from people from the top, So when I first got in, it was a competition to see how much weight you could lose, and it stemmed from the people who were already in it, like the big names. Oh yeah, I've got 12 kilos to lose. It's like, oh, okay, I've got to, leave everything to the last minute, But it's actually stupid. If you could be 1 or 2 kilos over, perfect.
Yeah. And like when we were chatting earlier on in the year, you sort of mentioned that having too many fight shows in 1 month, it's good for the fans and fighters, but not really good from a promoter's point of view. And certain promoters and that trying to cut corners. Like, what did you mean by that?
So, going back to the earlier comments, like there's no loyalty with fighters anymore, because the promoters they're putting on their shows, they need a fighter. So I'll give you X amount more, come fight with me, stuff like that. So it's good for the fighters. They're picking and choosing what show they want to go on. Don't realise that Evo got big and fighters got paid the way they did was because they were loyal to those one shows and then got a name that way.
Yeah.
But it comes like people are cutting corners, promoters are cutting corners because they know they're not going to get the door sales. Like I did one show and I had my show booked in a year in advance. Then the closer it got that weekend, there was 5 shows that weekend. It's that like promoters are cutting corners because now you've only got a certain population going to fight shows. And if you've got 5 fight shows on the weekend, each person's only going to get a certain percentage. So their door sales are going to drop naturally. So I've known some fight shows that don't even have a doctor. Like, yeah, they'll have a nurse or something like that, but your fighters are what bringing the people in. Have a doctor there to protect them. Just little things like that, and then goes back to the just like plastic chairs, no seat covers on for the VIP tables and charging as much as they can, like just do it right.
Yeah, and like a few years ago, I went to a fight show in Australia, and what I thought was the most disappointing thing was it dragged on for a while, and by the main event, the only people that were really there were the hardcore fans and all the other sort of fighters in the community that knew who these fighters were, because it went for so long. Everyone that had come to see their mates fight, and then as soon as their mates fought, they all left, and it was a Saturday night, so they probably left because they want to go out and celebrate. And it was just like by the time the main event was on, I looked around and the place was half empty, and I was like, this isn't what a fight show should be like.
Yeah, that's why with my shows, it's just we just pump them out. There'd be only every now and then I'll have a 5-10 minute break, only for the fact if the show's running short, you've got these VIPs that paid for a 4-hour drink package. They sort of need to get their drinks, you know what I mean? Yeah. But then you see, I went to a show probably a couple of months ago. They had a half-hour break.
It's too long.
But because they've got their liquor license.
Yeah.
So they're just getting a bit of door sales, which is all well and good, but have more fights on, and just pump them out.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time as well, it comes down to being a smart promoter, knowing who has sold your tickets. Put them a little bit later on, even if they're not the best fighter. Put them a little bit later on. The crowd stays around. You get a better atmosphere for the whole night. So if you have, say, someone's had 100 supporters coming, they put them fight 2. But you only sold 300 tickets, they all leave.
Yeah.
Everyone else goes, oh, well, this is a shit night, and then damages your product.
Yeah. And you said you were trying to get some big advertisers for the promotion so you could bring the big bucks in and pass that on to the fighters. As a promoter, how do you go about doing that? And what are the other challenges that present itself when trying to run a successful promotion?
So what I wanted to do was a lot of people have seen I streamed my last 2 shows free on Facebook. Got like 40,000 people view the first one. Yeah. And then when I did the second one, I think people were so the way I figured it, there's no way you're getting 40,000 people to one show in Australia.
Yeah.
So I was charging people for advertising on Facebook because I had, but then the next show, I think people were sort of waiting to see if I was doing that again, and my door sales were down. So it's like, well, what do? You sort of need that. You sort of need your door sales there to keep the atmosphere there.
Yeah.
But also you need to do the streaming to get your advertisers there to get the big money. So that was my plan, but it's sort of it's a bit more difficult than I first imagined.
Yeah. So have you got any backup plans?
Not yet.
work in progress. It's a work in progress.
I'm just throwing ideas out there and seeing what I can come up with. Yeah. I'm always trying to think of outside the box,
Well, you have to, man, because if you think inside the box, chances are like people have already done it. And that's
exactly.
I think that's why your tag team championship is successful. It's probably I think it's going to take off, and it's already starting to. That's why, man, because you're thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Now, in saying that, your next big show is in June 15 next year in 2019, where you've managed to lock in Toby Smith versus Jake Lund, a fight a lot of people want to see and have been waiting for some time now. Is that fight still going ahead? Because I hear there are some issues coming out of Jake's camp.
Yeah, so as far as at this very point in time, it's going ahead. There's been, so basically prior to this, obviously, a lot of people have tried to get it on. Some people asking a bit more money than others. But then basically as soon as I said, all right, I'm going to give it a go. Messaged both boys, Blair and Jake. They said, this is what we want. Yep, cool, no dramas, all organised. Now Jake is demanding his own ref. But that's at this point in time we're still going ahead. It's still plenty of time away, so regardless of what happens, I know Toby and Blair actually don't give a shit. They just want to fight. And if Jake wants to not fight because of a ref, I think that's a bit silly to deny the public what they want, because everything else is all agreed on. And it was agreed on at the start. This wasn't even stipulated.
Yeah.
But it's,
so regardless, Toby will be there regardless.
Regardless, I actually said to Blair, look, when the fight, we talked about it, Blair actually cancelled their show in Domination around the same time because they just want to fight. And he goes, if this actually doesn't eventuate, or if Jake pulls out or whatever, can you get Toby a fight? So I said, yep, no matter what, Toby will be fighting June 15th. I've promised that to Blair. I said I'll get opponents. I don't care. I've promised him. I've given him my word, and But hopefully I'll have a few more shows before then. It's just my venue's quite hard to get a date for.
Yeah.
They're just so booked up. So I'm trying to work on that. Maybe even a different venue for the start of the year. See if we can get something.
Get one in between now and then. And like that June 15th show, have you got any other matchups on that card that you can confirm at this stage?
Not yet. To be honest, I haven't even really. That was the first one I wanted to get down, and then I'll work backwards from there. Yeah. Being so far away, anything could happen, if I start matching all these other fighters. But since I did announce that fight, I have had a lot of people go, I want on that card. So a lot of fighters want to be on there. One person I will want on there is Jonathan Aulu. he's basically been nearly on nearly every single one of my shows since he's fought or started fighting, and I think he is the future. He's awesome. He's strong. He's skillful, talented, loyal, and just a humble kid as well.
Yeah.
So
Got some calves, eh?
yeah, I don't know. Just kicks like a mule.
And from a promoter's point of view, are you happy with the level of promoting that we have in Australia and the quality of shows that are being put on?
We could do better. Like everyone, but in saying that, not everyone, a lot of people are doing the best with what they've got.
Yeah.
Si's doing a great job down in Melbourne. He brings everyone in, accommodates everyone, and that sort of stuff. You got Blair and Darren and all that over there in Perth, like with Epic and Domination. You got Andy in Sydney. So Democoli up here, he's putting on great fights as well. So they're probably the main players, I'd say, are doing their honest best.
Yeah.
But everyone can improve, and I'm sure wants to improve. But the hard thing is there's so many fight shows out there. You got to, like, say, you could have the best card, but you sort of got to cut corners on production stuff because there's a show on the week before, the week after, taking a lot of your customers, walking through the door of what could be a card of the year. So they've got to cut corners that sort of way. Where when Evo was around, but they were the sheriff, like you knew you didn't put a show on your Evo because you knew that they would get 5,000 people and all the fighters wanted to go there and be on that card, so a little bit different. As I know Redlet, I spoke to Si about this on one of Si's podcasts. We don't have Fox 2 anymore.
Yeah, with the Fox Sports and the coverage.
Yeah, so we don't have that mainstream audience going, oh, I'm going to come to that. Basically all we've got now is Facebook and Instagram to promote the sport, and with the algorithms of Facebook and that, you're not even reaching everyone.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we can improve the promotions if we don't have the audience.
It's like technology, it's a blessing, it's a curse as well. Like it's good for what it's good for, like social media, like reaching people and stuff like that. But yeah, like, man, before I even started training Muay Thai, I used to just watch it on Fox Sports and then it'd be like, oh my God, like this guy's fighting. And like I didn't even really know him, but then I just started following them. You know what I mean? Now there's just so many fighters and good fighters out there. It's like, oh, I didn't know this guy. It's like, oh, so and so fought last week. Did you know? Oh fuck, no, I didn't even know. Like,
exactly.
And I'd like to think that I follow them, but obviously there's just that many people and platforms and media outlets and that it just sometimes it just gets overlooked.
Yeah. So I remember cutting weight for a fight, and Preacher was with me. Some old fella was in there and he was chatting to us. Oh, you fight? Yeah. Oh, do you know him? That's Preacher. I'm like, oh, no. Like, oh, the guy that, dyes his hair pink. Oh, yeah, you're awesome, because he's seen him on Foxtel.
Yeah.
But with social media, as you said, it could be a blessing and it's a curse as well. A lot of fighters rely on Facebook to promote themselves and selling tickets instead of doing the old-fashioned way. Like I got taught from Preacher, who's probably one of the biggest ticket sellers going around back in the day. I remember he told me, I think on one Evo, he sold about $50,000 worth of tickets.
Mm.
But what he would do, he'd get on the phone. He'd call his friends. He'd go sees them. He'd text them, emails. It's not with these days. Everyone's like, oh no, Facebook, Instagram. I posted it on there. So no, you got to call people. You got to put yourself out there. Oh no, I can't put myself out there. Well, actors and singers, they go door knocking. Here, listen to this. Play this on your radio. And I think the fight world being everyone's get taught you got to be so humble. You know, there's a difference between being humble and actually hustling. So you can do both.
And then, like, I don't know about a lot of your friends, but all my friends, everything's just done by text now. You try and pick up the phone and call them, they don't answer, and then 5 seconds later they'll send you a text going, "What do you want?" It's like, well, I'm trying to fucking call you because it's important.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. And speaking of terrible promotions, what are your thoughts on that awful, disgraceful event that happened after the fight where trainers and members of the audiences were involved in an all-in brawl in Sydney the other month in Padstow on War of the West show under Massa sanction?
I did see that footage. It's hard to give a accurate opinion, so to speak, if there's so many unknown questions or answers. Sorry. So if they know it, was there a tiff beforehand, that sort of stuff. If that was the case, the promoter shouldn't have put those two gyms on the same show. You know, was the security? Should the security should have been onto it if they noticed a bit of tiff beforehand? But whatever the answer, it shouldn't happen.
No.
You know, like, do your talking in the ring. Obviously, they did jump in the ring, so they were doing the talking in there. But let the fighters do their talking in the ring, and you go settle it elsewhere.
Yeah.
But there's just, it actually baffles me, you know.
What do you think if you were like, I don't know how you say it, like part of a governing body or a committee that had to sort it out and issue punishments or fines or whatever? If you were in charge of that, what would your repercussions be?
Definitely there has to be some sort of suspension. Like, has to be. Like, obviously it's a little bit hard to enforce those people involved going to shows again.
Yeah.
But especially in New South Wales, they've got the Combat Commission. There's no reason why that Combat Commission can't ban those gyms for being on shows for X amount of period. But then I guess it does hamper their earning capacity.
I reckon if I was in charge, I would have said whoever the gym's involved and the people involved from that gym, they're banned for minimum 2 years from going to any fight shows. And then in turn, people in the fight community are going to know which gyms and which people they are, so they're not going to put them on their fight shows. So
yeah, exactly.
That's going to, if people from those gyms really want to fight, they're going to leave those gyms, which is going to in turn, you know, loss of income for the gym. The gym's going to have a shit reputation, and people aren't just going to want to be associated with them. And if people do want to continue fighting, they're going to have to go join another gym that has a good reputation and gets on good shows.
Yeah, there had to be some sort of suspension there for sure. Like, and as I said, especially with the Combat Commission, I don't know, because in Queensland we don't have one, but surely there is some sort of repercussion. There has to be.
It just looks shit because you got so many other good people and gyms like, you know, Andy Parnham you mentioned, doing really good things for Muay Thai, not only in New South Wales and Australia and globally, and then one little event like this puts it on a thing and it just fucks everything. Yeah,
100%, man. Like, I don't know in terms of 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, but there has to be some sort of repercussion. It's not the fighters' faults because they were in the ring ready to fight, you know. But yeah, at least minimum 6 to 12 months, you know, like, because it's put a bad hamper on Thai boxing.
Yeah, it's like they don't put in the news like all the good things that go on behind the scenes and that people do, but as soon as one little couple of bad apples emerge, it's everywhere, and then hopefully it doesn't, but hopefully it doesn't like put them back or put them behind the ball.
Yeah, like that sort of stuff. Like, I know, I just hope that venues then don't go, oh no, not putting a fight show on because you had that brawl, you know. It's a tough one.
It is,
mate. But yeah, definitely repercussions.
100%. Mate, it's been a great chat. So if people want to follow you, stay up to date with the latest in the tag team championships and news and all that jazz, how can they get a hold of you and follow you?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, just Tag Team Championship on Facebook and excuse me, tag_team_championships on Instagram. Yeah, or just give me a call or follow me on Instagram as well, Mr. TTC, and I'm sure I'll tell you what's happening.
Nice one, mate. And last but not least, anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to?
Yeah, there's a few guys. I just want, everyone that's supported the shows, all the gyms and fighters and all that sort of stuff. Yourself for continued support. But Grand Prix Mazda in Aspel and Caboolture, Luke has been a great support there. Mark Scholler from Envirotech. He does engine additives and stuff like that. They've been amazing. And just everyone that constantly comes and supports the show, and I really appreciate it.
I love what you're doing, man, with the old with the tag team championship concept. I reckon it's going to take off. It already has. I reckon it's going to get bigger, and if you got your plans like you say in the next future, mate, who knows what's going to happen? But I reckon it can only be good things and better things from here, man. So keep it up, bro.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've got a plan. I've got a dream. I just hope I can execute it how I want. So see what happens.
Awesome, bro. Thanks for your time, bro.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Explain to me the history. I had to throw a vicious knee. I got a passion for the art of 8 limbs. I'm just asking from the heart. So as I conclude this interview, thanks so much for sitting through. Loved all the fighters and the folks that listen. This for you.